Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world at the moment watching this YouTube episode of Energy Matters with Lee. I'm especially delighted to have with me Ernie Bird, who's in Alberta, in Canada. And I was so inspired by his story that he sent me um, because I have two crusades going on at the moment. And we're building up to World Reflexology Week. And I really want to promote men's health. That's my speciality. That's the thing that I'm really big on sort of promoting at the moment. But in Ernie, I found somebody who not only was converted to trying reflexology, but he was so impressed with it that he went on to train and become a reflexologist himself. So thank you for joining me, Ernie. Like I say, it's a real pleasure to hear your story again. But I just wanted for the viewers for you to recount what happened in the early stages with your first trying out reflexology. What was it that went on? Can you tell me the story?
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me here today. I really appreciate that. And my story starts in August of 2022,
Right.
where when I was involved in a motor vehicle accident, I was on my motorcycle going through an intersection, and a approaching vehicle was wanting to turn left, and we met in the intersection literally because they claimed they did not see me.
Right.
So I was hit right on the side of the motorcycle, and was it was about a 80 kilometer an hour hit. So uh, of course the bike and I were scattered down the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, I slid for quite some ways, and then ended up getting up and running into the ditch. I don't recall a lot of the accident itself, which I don't mind.
Yeah.
um, so I was taken to a hospital in Calgary and was diagnosed as no broken bones, nothing wrong with head, neck, back. It was just um, soft tissue damage. For the next few weeks, I was quite blue and black and purple all down my left side. And then in the following weeks, I did a lot of physiotherapy. I did some psychology work. I was getting some issues with dizziness, so I was sent to a vertigo clinic. Um, what else? I actually went, I was getting better, but I just didn't like the way I was feeling. Um, and then my feet and my legs actually started to go numb, starting at my feet and working up. When it got to my knees, and I couldn't feel my lower legs, I got really concerned at that point.
Was that both legs?
Both legs, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I was sent to a nerve specialist. They couldn't figure out what was going on, so I was sent for nerve conduction tests,
Hmm.
which is basically they send electricity through your nerves and see how long
Yeah.
it takes to get from one end to the other. I
Right.
really didn't enjoy that either.
Right.
But at the end of that, the specialist looked at me and said, "Well, you should actually be numb from the neck down, according to this." So
All
I
right.
kind of at that point, this was months after. Um, at that point, I was quite frustrated.
Sure.
Um, so my wife actually said to me, "Why don't you try reflexology?" And I'll be honest with you right now, I had no idea what reflexology was.
Had she
I
tried it
knew it.
before?
I've never tried it before.
No, had she tried it before though?
She actually had started to do training to be a therapist, and
Okay.
then yeah, it didn't go further than that. But
Right.
I didn't realize that at the time. But so I tried reflexology, and it was on my fifth session with my therapist that, and by this time I had learned to lay back, close my eyes, and just
Just
let
relax. Yeah.
let
Yeah.
just relax.
Yeah.
So it was on the fifth one. I sat up because I honestly thought that their therapist was pouring water down my legs onto my feet.
Right.
Um, and so I sat up and I said, "What are you doing? Why are you pouring water on me?" And she said, "I'm not actually." And it
Yeah.
was actually the release. It was a release of the circulation, and the blood was actually going back down into my legs.
Wow.
I I honestly don't know why it had stopped circulation to that point, but I was
Yeah.
just I went out of there. I could feel my feet again. I was dancing like a like a ballerina actually when I was
You didn't know
leaving
those
the
leaves were possible.
leaving the clinic. It felt so good. So um, to kind of fast forward there, I started researching reflexology. I started getting books about reflexology. My therapist actually gave me some books of her own to read, and I was fascinated with it. I just couldn't get enough. And so um, consequent as we went along through I continued to do reflexology, and one day she said, I think you'd make a really good therapist. You should train. And I laughed at her. I thought, I'm a mechanic
Right.
by trade. I was a heavy duty mechanic for only 30 years. I had black hands from all like I was dirt, I was a mechanic, and I thought I couldn't do this. But she kept after at each appointment, she kept saying to me, um, have you thought about it? Like
Mhm.
anyways, I finally sat down with my wife, and it was kind of coincidental. I was just kind of giving her feet a foot rub one night on the couch as after supper type thing. And she looked over at me and she said, you could do that for a living. And that was kind of the light bulb, I guess, light
Yeah.
bulb moment. I had been thinking after the accident, um, mechanicking, heavy duty mechanic, it was really hard on me.
Yeah.
I did go back to work, but I could see that I was not failing, but I could feel the effects of that
Yeah, something
accident.
was
So
different. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so I signed up, got my went through my practicum, got certified, um, became an RCRT, which is a registered Canadian reflexology therapist.
Yeah.
And as of this past January, I walked away from my career, opened up my
Right.
full-time reflexology practice, and here I am.
Wow. And this is why I'm so delighted to have you with us on the channel is because it's such an inspirational story. The idea of an established career that you would have had
Mhm.
to to notice that it's no longer has that relevance, that pull, if you like.
Yeah,
Um, People that know my story know that I was a journalist before I was a reflexologist, and I went to India and was not looking for reflexology, but it found me. And so I
yeah,
came back to England and trained, and that was my story. But it's this whole idea of when you find something and you know that it's right, something intrinsic tells you that it's right, and you
for
go
sure.
with it. That's
Yeah,
the exciting part of it, isn't it? So,
it is.
in terms of the benefits that you've received, obviously the health benefits personally that you received from it, being a male therapist, because this is really one of the reasons why I'm glad we're talking, is
Mhm.
what do you see the benefits of being a male therapist offering reflexology as well?
Well, I think my biggest thing right now is I'm trying to attract more male clients so that they can understand the importance of self-care. And I I think I'm starting to cross my fingers. I'm starting to get through to a lot of males that are talking with me, at least at this
Yeah,
point,
yeah,
that they
yeah,
would feel comfortable having like a man work on their feet rather
yeah,
than
yeah,
than a woman other than their wife type thing.
Yes, sure,
So,
yeah. Because there are a whole
yeah.
load of issues, aren't there, really, about the idea of touch, especially for men. And what I tend to find is, I mean, I do this on the course that I teach as well about men's health, is that there has been historically a confusion over the idea of touch and the neutrality of touch, as I call it. So there's no hidden agenda behind it. You're just working with the feet, you're
Hmm.
touching the feet,
Yeah,
and the idea of touch and intimacy, which is a completely different thing. And
absolutely.
so with that in mind, that's really what I want to try and push with the male audience, people like watching today and people that I speak to on a regular basis, is that when we're working with reflexology, there's a neutrality of touch to it. Is that something that you found in talking to your male clients as well, or prospective male clients?
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the things that you know. I've had guys say, "Well, you couldn't touch my feet because I'm too ticklish," and
Mm.
I've actually had some of those guys come to me, and I start working their feet, and they're like, "Oh, that doesn't, I don't
Yes.
feel that at all." And
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
I say to them, "It's because I'm not here to tickle your feet."
Yes. That's right. That's right.
So yeah, yeah, for sure.
So, do they appreciate the therapeutic value in reflexology then? Do they see it as more than just a foot rub?
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a few male clients now that I am actually starting to see, and they're actually starting to tell me they're feeling better, they have more energy,
Mm.
um, just stuff that they didn't even really think about, um, as far as you know issues that they could have, and even stuff like being tired even after you've got 7 or 8 hours of sleep and you have to
Sure.
go to a high stress job or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I've found where um, you're holding stress in your stomach because your stomach reflexes
Mhm.
are like massive on the bottom
Yeah.
of your
Yeah, yeah,
feet.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they can see it for sure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So the idea obviously is working with men as well, is that they're men in particular, more so than women, I would say, are very much vested in an outcome. They like to know that what they're investing their money and their effort and their time in has some kind of outcome, has a measurement, if you like. That's another one of the things that I put forward in my course. Is that something that you would agree with, that there is a divide between men and women where men come in with an expectation of something happening for them?
Absolutely. And what I'm finding so far is uh, most of my male clients are impatient. They
Mhm.
want immediate
Yeah,
results.
yeah, yeah,
They've had chronic issues for years,
yeah,
and after 1 or 2 sessions, they're like, "I don't feel any different," and it's like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
you need to give it time. Like
Yeah,
your body took this long to get to this point.
that's
We
right.
just we need to turn it around. But
That's right. It's turning that big tanker around, isn't it?
yeah,
And I always say for chronic conditions in particular, it's around about 1 month of treatment for every year of the chronic illness. So
absolutely.
yeah, you have to set your stall out and be very upfront when you deal with men in particular that come
Yeah.
in with that high expectation of fix me. I mean, this is the big
Yeah.
thing as well, isn't it? Fix me. We're not there to fix them, but we're there to facilitate a process whereby they can get themselves better, should we
Get
say?
some help. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I know that certainly in Canada and in America and all the other places that might be watching this as well, we have to be so careful how we phrase things, how we say the work that we do.
Hmm.
But I think it's fair to say it's pretty commonplace to say that we facilitate a process whereby they can get to the heart of where the problem is and we can assist in them get themselves better.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So, with just the final part that I want to go into now, and this is again for the viewers, is this idea of, I know that we had this initial conversation about how do we get more men into the clinic room.
Hmm.
This is the big thing that we want to work out. And I had a discussion with David Waite just a few weeks ago, and we had a YouTube video on that as well. And the idea, obviously, is to give them achievables, give them something whereby it could be relaxation, it could be detoxification, it could be the removal of side effects, all those things which have a measurement, a before and an after, if you like,
Mhm.
because men then will buy into that and they will go, right, okay, last week I felt not so great, but this week I'm feeling just slightly better. And then they can see a thread, like a continuity, if you like.
Mhm.
Um, is that something that you're able to promote through your work in particular?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we were supposed to have a scheduled, it was a couples wellness clinic at, I do have a second location that I've opened up at, and um, it's not really a hotel, not a, I guess you could say it's like a fancy bed and breakfast.
Right,
But they actually reached out to me and wanted me to be their um, therapist that they could offer their guests um, to to get a session from. So we had put on one clinic where we kind of there was a few of us, a naturopathic doctor, myself. There was a chef there that was promoting um, eating habits, stuff like that. And it was very successful.
right.
So the second one that we had scheduled, I had made a PowerPoint and I was focusing on men's health. I was kind of explaining what reflexology was in a first little blurb, but then I kind of pushed it over to men's health. And I was, going on about the pain triangle, which is the stress, sleep,
Mhm, mhm.
um, pain. Anyways, so I kind of started it off that way, and my PowerPoint was really directed at men's health more than like prostate or
Sure.
the normal ones
Sure.
that men think about
Yeah, we're
or
more than just a prostate.
right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So um but the idea was at first they said, well, um, for this couples, we'll have the ladies in one room and the men in another room, and you can take the men and the other ones they can take the ladies. And I said, I don't think that's a good idea because at the end of the presentation, when the husbands and wives come back together, the wives are going to say, what did you learn in there? And I said the guys are going to go, I don't know, he pushes around on your feet or something and supposed to make you feel better.
yeah,
So I said, let's do it as couples, yes. But um, the naturopathic doctor was going to talk to the ladies about going through menopause, and I thought it was important that the husbands be part of that
yeah,
because you know
yeah,
they need to know what their spouses are going through
yeah,
during that time.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
And so I said, with the couples coming in and learning about men's health, the wife might do that nudge where, hey, this is something you need to start doing.
yeah,
Um, but the ticket sales did not go as planned, and we ended up having to not cancel. I think it was just the time of year. It was just in May when everybody wanted to be outside and start their
yeah,
gardening and all that kind of stuff. They didn't want to
yeah,
be inside. So
yeah.
we're just postponing it until probably the fall or so.
Right. I mean, it's a slow process trying to get men involved, definitely. I've
Yeah.
been teaching men's health as a course for over 25 years, and it's still taking time to get the
Yeah.
message through, and there'll be plenty of women out there that will say, well, I have to get him to come for his sessions because otherwise he'd never turn up, which is still not really the point, if you get me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
So the last question I want to put to you is it's a two-parter really, is
Okay.
what advice would you give to men who want to try for reflexology for the first time, what would you say to them?
Yeah, well, what haven't I been saying to them? It's I guess, kind of what I talked about there before. Men's health is more than prostates and erectile dysfunctions and
Hmm.
the normal men's stuff. It's we've got the same body,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we need to look after it.
yeah,
And the longer we don't look after it, the worse it's going to get.
yeah.
So um, one of the one of the videos I did and put on my Instagram was I kind of related back to my being a mechanic. It
Right.
was yeah, it was the camera kind of panned in and I was under the hood of my truck and I was checking the oil
Yeah.
and my wife who was recording says, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just doing some maintenance on my vehicle so that it provides me years of service,
Yeah. Yeah.
of
That's a
good
good
service."
analogy.
And then I kind of went on to, to
Yeah.
push into the men's and
Yeah.
and we're just like a machine. We
And
have to look after
absolutely.
ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
the whole thing about you have to look after yourself first before you can look after anybody else. Because
right.
that's another big male thing as well, isn't it? That we feel as though we have
Yeah,
to look after everybody else
for sure.
and provide that protection and provision and all that kind of thing. But if we're no good for ourselves, then that doesn't really happen. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Okay. So the second part is
Okay.
what advice would you give men who would like to come into the profession?
Into the profession. So I was very surprised when I first started going to school. I actually went to a meeting and I thought I was in the wrong room because I walked in and it was all ladies.
Yeah.
But um, I think for men that would like to do this, it's the satisfaction of providing the service that can improve people,
Hmm.
improve their health.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this is what I get out of this. For the longest time, people I've heard where people say, "Oh, I've found my dream job," right?
Hmm.
And this is what I was meant to do. And I always thought as I was going through my mechanics career, I guess this is what I was meant to do, right? But
Yeah.
since I've started this, I can't get enough of it. I'm always researching more. I'm trying to learn more. I'm coming to the ICR conference just so I can get a worldwide perspective of reflexology.
Yeah.
And uh, yeah, it's such a good feeling. Like I honestly can say this was my calling
That's a
for sure.
wonderful way. That's a
Yeah.
wonderful way to feel about it. Ernie, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us on Energy Matters with the League this episode. And thank you to everyone for watching, and we shall see you on a future episode. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye bye. Okay, I thought I'd finished with this video, but I obviously haven't because off camera I was talking with Ernie and he said, "Oh, I've just got a couple of other things to tell you about." And so I've switched the record button back on to tell you about these as well. But Ernie's actually going to tell you. And the first one is about his experiences with yoga. Take it away, Ernie.
Okay. So one of the ways that I thought a good way to attract the males, the men into reflexology, there was in our town. There's a men's only yoga. I've done yoga before, and I find it very beneficial. But my thought was, okay, if these men have wrapped their head around doing yoga,
Hmm.
they will certainly be more inclined to look at um, holistic type of practices like
Yeah, yeah,
reflexology. So
yeah. So you've sown the seeds with that one, definitely. You
for
know, so,
sure, yeah.
and it's an ideal location to be in because if they are like-minded and they have this idea of a holistic approach to health, then of
Hmm.
course that's going to be ideal.
For
And the
sure.
second thing I want to ask about very quickly is this idea of you being poster boy. Tell me about that.
So I've done so much promoting of reflexology uh, all over the place. Really, I've got a whole bunch. I did some demos out at I've got a second location that I talked about, the River Retreat. I've
Yeah,
done demos at a motorcycle show in Calgary. I've done um, the Canadian Association of Foot Care Nurses. There was two of us that did demos there and presentations. Calgary Firefighters Stair Climb. I got there and got in there and we did some demos. So, and I report back to the Reflexology Association about, and I send pictures. I send
yeah.
pictures. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm trying to promote. And so they've actually said that I'm the poster boy for reflexology in Alberta because
Fabulous.
I'm getting out there and shouting it from the rooftops basically.
Great.
And I actually I was given a little surprise. They have a quarterly magazine called Refresh, and I actually
There he
I
is.
I got the I got the cover.
You got the cover.
I got the cover, and they actually did a article on
Fabulous.
what I'm doing out here. So
Fabulous.
yeah,
Well deserved as well. Well deserved as well. I mean,
thank you.
couldn't leave without having that bit of extra story put in there. It was too good to miss, that was. Okay, brilliant. Thanks again, Ernie.
You you
I'm
bet.
sure the conversation is going to keep going on and on. And yeah, look after yourself, everybody. Take care. Thank you, Ernie, once again. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye bye.